So my most memorable experience for LEAD was the retreat day, just really getting to know my other classmates.
The orientation when we did kind of the team building and they had the mystery questions where you had to figure out who was what.
There was a lot of people that I didn't realize that I knew and that I had connected with virtually or through email. So it was really nice to put a face to the name and get to know them on a deeper level too.
My most memorable LEAD experience has probably been the Decision Center at the Truman Library. It was really fascinating to see what was happening in the world in that time frame, and it was a great insight into independence and the history of the world at that moment.
Visiting the 1859 jail museum, I thought that was really interesting that we've preserved some of that history. That's something I did not know about the history of independence. Also some of the underground business that we have and just how vast that is.
Yeah, touring the caves and the underground was a really great experience. To put that much space underground into perspective is pretty cool.
My most memorable experience would probably be the yoga that we did. We all went to a yoga studio and just had a nice hour of yoga and meditation, and it was a great experience.
Yoga is not as easy as it looks. That was the toughest 30 minutes I've ever experienced. I'm going to tell you what, I was not ready for that. It was fun, but it was not for the faint of heart.
The Innovation Center was very eye-opening, that the opportunities are there for the startup businesses, and then the history behind the Independence Fire Department.
When I got to meet with the fire chief and learn about some of the heroes that have perished in our community, it left a very lasting mark on me.
My most memorable LEAD experience was being able to go up in the bucket on the ladder truck at Fire Station number 1.
It was nice to see the city from a different view, and something you just don't get an opportunity to do every day.
I'm afraid of heights pretty badly. We were about 100 feet high and I was shaking, but I actually really enjoyed it. It was cool.
Overcoming fear?
Yeah, basically.
I learned so much about Independence, Missouri. LEAD gave me the opportunity to actually see it through the eyes of those who come to our city and actually tour. I would never have had the opportunity to take in or appreciate what we have here if it wasn't for this class.
Growing up in Independence, I felt like I knew so much about Independence, so it's been very interesting to find out all the things that I did not know. The Inglewood Arts was very interesting. The Innovation Center, the scope of the Innovation Center was interesting.
The inner workings of independence and meeting the different community leaders, I think that was what surprised me the most.
I think one thing that was really unexpected for me is just how much enthusiasm there is in the community to move Independence forward.
The care for Independence, I mean, you could tell that people really love being in Independence and love the community. It was just such a nice feeling to see that there was such a community you wouldn't expect from such a big city.
I had no idea that they set up the academies that they did. It really makes me proud to see what we're able to do for our students and to really get them into the line of career that they want to go into and really give them that early exposure early at a young age.
If you look at the different programs that we're doing for our youth through the ISD or the Be Well Coffee Shop or campus grounds for the Fort Osage District, I think you can just tell the enthusiasm there is to move Independence forward in the right direction.
I didn't realize that everyone was so interconnected, and LEAD kind of showed me that everyone is part of the same community.
I learned a lot of new things about Independence as a result of LEAD class. I did not know much of the history.
I learned so much about really the hardships of Truman's presidency.
Just learning about Harry Truman and then all the other kind of history and visiting the Hiram Young School, all that kind of stuff was just very enlightening.
The 1859 jail, yeah, and getting to tour that and seeing some of the different artifacts that they had.
The Vail Mansion, it was always intriguing to me, always hearing stories of it, and actually having the opportunity to actually step foot in it and not just, check the doors and windows on a standard alarm call it was pretty cool.
I am new to Independence, so I learned a lot of new things about it during LEAD. It was nice to see all of the small locally owned companies. It's great to see there's just so much to it that people don't see.
Something new that I learned about Independence was probably the revitalization of the Independence Square. And then my family and I took advantage of some of the opportunities up there. We had some great Italian food on the square, and we went to the Christmas window display with the kids, and it was a lot of fun to experience that community in Independence again.
I've actually learned a lot more than I even ever expected to. The biggest thing was the amount of jobs that are available in the city and just the constant growing and changing and looking for what our community needs.
I knew about the caves and I knew about the Space Center, but growing up, going down 291, I thought that was like a space camp. If we hadn't gone through the tour there, I honestly would have kept driving by it every day thinking there were the rocket scientists working in there.
I learned that being a leader is something that I really enjoy, and so going through the program really helped me see what I can improve on for my career and for my future.
I learned a lot of things about myself, and a lot of it came from Pat's leadership portion that he did at the beginning of each lead day.
So I am a local small business owner, and a lot of the points that we learned in the leadership class helped me to run my daily business and really helped.
It has reinforced what I've learned over the years. It has opened a few new avenues to look at and to think about, to challenge myself.
I am a lifelong learner, so LEAD has filled my bucket with that. I really liked learning about myself, learning about my classmates, and learning about our community of Independence.
I think one thing I learned about myself is just how similar-minded myself and the rest of the community are about how we want to impact the community. Doesn't matter what our profession is or what our backgrounds are. There's a lot of great perspectives out there.
What I learned taking the class, maybe taking that next step into being a little bit more serious, in my professional career, how important, relationships between networks, different companies, all that.
I was very nervous at, the first LEAD events. And what I learned about myself, and I learned that through other people, was I wasn't the only one that was nervous, It made me realize that I wasn't alone in feeling that way, and I could overcome it.
Just knowing how I interact with people has really affected how I interact with my coworkers and just even people in general.
I think LEAD definitely gave me brand new and also different leadership skills, but it also connected me to a wonderful group of people who really care about the community. I have more hope for the future of our community than I ever have after being in LEAD.
I really was surprised at how different we all were. And so we all had something different to bring to the table. I really expected that LEAD would be kind of maybe a cluster of people all like me. And so it was encouraging to see how different we all were and varied.
I would say, honestly, that the biggest shock for me was the amount of connections that I would make and just the amount of people in Independence that are just so passionate about Independence and willing to lend a hand or be a mentor, give their card and say, reach out to me.
It was very fun to see how many new people were in my LEAD class. A lot of connections that you just have a point person now, and that's a really big benefit of LEAD.
It's nice to learn a little bit about each person that was in the class. It was really nice to meet a very diverse group.
A lot of diverse people coming from a lot of different diverse backgrounds, covering both nonprofit, for-profit. It's been a great group of people I've been able to meet through LEAD.
It's opened doors, it's built friendships and relationships that I'll be able to reach out to.
As a result of LEAD, I have built a lot of new connections with class members, and many of those are some of my fellow nonprofits, and just learning more about those organizations and how we can collaborate.
We have so many nonprofits in Independence to get involved in, and then also just to serve our community. There's a resource for anything you need in Independence.
Seeing the way that those nonprofits work together and the cooperation they have to accomplish so much for the people of Independence and Jackson County was very interesting. I thought that was something to be really proud of, and they work so well together.
The partnerships that I've made through the LEAD program have already helped me with my current job title. So a lot of those partnerships and working together to see what we can do for our neighbors and our community is only strengthened through that LEAD program.
In my profession, which is emergency management, one of the things that we talk about over and over is bringing stakeholders to the table within the community. And so I think that those networking opportunities we've had in LEAD will be invaluable going forward.
My network has definitely grown. Every single person in my class I've had a good conversation with and learned a little bit something from.
A lot of doors, I feel, have been opened through this leadership class. It just gives you an insider's feel to the city of Independence.
I feel like I've learned something from almost every single person in LEAD, where their passions lie and really how much they care about the community.
Those relationships that I've built over the last year here in the LEAD program will benefit me moving forward just because I now have a wider understanding of the community and the community leaders.
The tie that you build with your community by going through LEAD and via the connections that you make and the heart that you start to feel for independence it's priceless. It's been a really great growth opportunity professionally, but just community-wise.
I learn something different every time. I feel more connected to Independence now that I've gone through the LEAD program and learned more about the depth and the intricacies of Independence. And I'm really gonna miss having those Thursdays once a month.
Anyone who actually cares and wants to give back and wants to provide that public service to this community, this is a must. I learned so much and I appreciate the opportunity.
There's no better way to get involved with community leaders and see what is actually going on in Independence and join this LEAD class.